I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm not sure about questions coming in, but one of the questions, and in fact, I got asked this again today, was what's the first thing I need to do to get? I want my client wants to buy a house, and it's first time buyer, so they've never bought before. So the first question was, what do we do? And what's out there for us? For first time buyers, of course, there is something called a rural development loan. And let me back up. First thing you do, of course, is to get pre-qualified. And I made this mistake myself before I got in real estate. I was buying a house. I knew what or I thought I knew what my budget was, and so my agent at the time, she took me out and we started looking. And when I found a house, when it came time to make the purchase or make an offer, I would realize I wasn't qualified for as much as I thought I was. Okay, I see some comments coming in now. All right, good. Thank you. Okay, looks like my team's here. Um, and I apologize. This is our first time doing this, so we're trying to work out some bugs also in the process. So, but anyway, back to getting qualified. Uh, it's critical nowadays to get qualified or get pre-qualified before you start looking, because of the types of programs that are available, and especially right now the way prices are going, which is another issue. When it comes to getting pre-qualified, there's a difference. There's a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. Pre-qualification just means that you've spoken with a lender. They'll write a letter saying that you have spoken with them, and they kind of give you some guidelines by phone or whatever. A pre-approval means you've actually started the application process, and it's a stronger letter. So when we go into to make an offer for you, the a pre-approval letter, of course, gives you more weight with that offer. And so that's what we try to do, especially nowadays with multiple offers. And that's something that we're running into quite frequently now, is especially some of the homes that are available for first time buyers or younger buyers. Um, there's a huge demand for in that arena, and so we're seeing sometimes I've had up to 12 offers on one house within a very short period of time. So again, that pre-approval letter is very critical for that. It strengthens your offer, um, and it also keeps you from looking at things that that we're not, that stop. It keeps you from spending your time on something that you're not gonna be able to that we can't get you into to begin with. And working with a lender from the beginning, again, I have a couple clients who they need a little time to get their finances together, and so a lender will help you. They'll set you on a path as to um, some things that you may need to get cleared up, and have you ready, and let you know when you'll be able to qualify to get you into a home. Um, back to rural development. It's a good program for first time buyers, and there's a couple different loan programs out there that we use quite frequently. Um, Rural development and FHA are two of them that are we use quite often here in this area. Rural development is through a USDA program, um, and all of St. Tammany Parish is qualifies for rural development. Now, not all houses do, and that's one thing we need to watch when we do go out and start looking at houses, is if we want to know what kind of program that we're working with, so we know what kind of houses, and of course what price levels. And when it comes to that, also flood insurance and things like that, we need to factor those things into it. So again, so we're not looking at something that is going to be that you're going to be priced out of, or not be able to qualify for. And again, I ran into that myself when I was looking years ago. um, and fortunately my agent was very patient with me, and we had to redirect our efforts. Let me see if we have any questions here. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody's tuned in right now? One thing, one thing we're seeing right now, excuse me, of course, prices have been going up pretty steadily in the past last year. I think things are going to level off this year. Uh, Interest rates are going to help that. I'm not sure. Of course, uh, the Fed is held off on raising those right now, but they're saying with the next meeting, I think the next quarter they will probably start seeing those going up a little bit more, and that should help level off the prices. I don't think prices are going to go down because of the demand we have here. Um, there is still a shortage of houses, which with supply and demand, of course, that's with supply being as low as it is and demand still being high, is going to force prices to stay high. Um, with that being said, though, I think they will level off, but I don't think they're going to go down. There is something that with supply and demand, of course, uh, with the economy going up, we're going to see we're going to see wages going up. There's always a lag time there. We'll see a vacuum for a period where there's not going to be enough inventory available for the price to match prices. But as people's wages go up, they'll have more buying power, and so again, we'll start seeing that evening out. But I think we are going to see this as a strong sellers market for for the near future. I hate to say that for buyers, and I know it's tough. We have several buyers we're working with, and they're just having a hard time, even though they're qualified to buy something, is finding something in that price range or competing with the number of multiple offers that we're getting on those houses. Um, but that's also why we're moving into Mississippi also because we're seeing some values there, Washington Parish. So it's pushing people out a little bit further out, but we're working on trying to find something that matches what they're looking for. Great question here. How much does rural development cover? Rural development covers 100% of the loan. Um, and I believe I think we have a couple lenders on it, you can actually go over the sale price. It also covers closing costs. And that's something that's very important too. A lot of buyers don't understand or they don't realize. And of course, I didn't know it. I wouldn't know it if I wasn't in business. Buyers have something that's called closing costs that is added on to your closing costs are things that have to be paid up front at closing, and sometimes we can ask that to be paid for by the buyer. I'm sorry, by the seller, um, but it's the buyer's responsibility. And if we can avoid doing that, of course, it makes your offer stronger. And I believe rural development does allow you to go over 100% actually of the sale price. And of course, we have to make sure that the house appraises for that amount also. Yeah, Barbara's on. Let's see, she can answer some questions about. Can can our agents educate buyers on the home buying process? Absolutely, and that's a big part of what we do. Um, so many and think about it. Even like myself, if I wasn't in business, the last time I bought a house was 16, almost 17 years ago. So I wouldn't have any idea where to start. So yes, a very big part of what we do is educating our clients, um, because this isn't something. And even being in the business, it changes regularly. There's constantly changes with our I was trying to say with with our offer forms, with our offer packets, with loan programs, with changes in insurance, flood insurance. Those things they change quite often. Um, and so yes, even with what we do, even being in business, we have to stay on top of those things. And of course, educating our clients is a big part of what we do. Okay, yes. Okay, you may roll 1% of the sale price into so that's great. That's appreciate that, Barbara. Um, so yes, that's something we can again with rural development. If the client qualifies for it and the project qualifies for it, That's a great way of for getting first time buyers into a home. And when I say 100% financing, there are some loans like FHA that require 3.5% down. Um, and as far as and when I come to the property qualifying, that means any kind of government backed loan or subsidized loan, VA, RD, FHA, anything like that. The appraiser, when they go out to appraise the property, they're going to have a checklist that that property has to meet certain requirements before that loan is going to be approved. Um, when it comes with the condition of the roof, has to have certain appliances, it has to have flooring, it has to be in livable condition. And sometimes we can work with the seller to make sure that property qualifies, even after the appraiser goes out and says these things have to be done as a condition of the loan being approved. We can work with that seller and see if we can still make that loan go through. So that's a good question. I appreciate that. I think we're coming up to the end of our 15 minutes here. Okay, are we looking at a housing expansion site anytime soon? Yes. Right now, there's a proposal that's going to be coming out uh, by the parish president to do a 6 month moratorium on building in the parish. Uh, that's going to be on February 3rd, I believe, at that meeting. There's some questions as to what areas right now is for the entire parish. There's also some question as to what type of buildings, what type of zones that's going to cover. Um, I hope that is that they will limit it to certain parts of the parish and not the entire parish, because there is a huge demand for our area. We are seeing more people moving from the South Shore coming this way. We're seeing more people coming in from other parts of the country. Um, the I-12 corridor, there's a lot of focus on that as far as the industrial complexes and things. So I think we are going to continue to see a good demand for our area, um, which is good. I mean, it's good for the our industry as a whole. Um, it is putting pressure on buyers. So like I said, so what I tell my buyers is please be patient. We're doing the best we can, and of course we want to find what's right for you. So anyway, with that, I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have any questions, of course you can follow up, send me messages. We're always available, and my agents are fantastic at helping our people out. So thank you again. Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon.